Hello lovely people, you can see another day in paradise. In this video I'd like to give you my subjective opinion how a two-way sounds compared to a three-way. So if you watched the previous video, I did show the measurements from a two-way system, which consists of a tweeter, a door mid-bass, and a subwoofer in the back. So at the moment, I'm using a different subwoofer. However, I tuned these two speakers to sound kind of decent, kind of normal. And I'd like to give you my opinion, subjective, how it sounds in general. Now, first of all, let's talk about the tweeters. So I had these exact same tweeters. If you watch like few weeks or a month ago, I had them in these sills firing on to the side, which were like in a factory location. And now I made these custom sill pods, whatever, and they're aimed on axis. So the main difference between a tweeter that is aimed off axis and that is aimed on axis is the actual center image and the focus itself. Now, when I have the tweeters on axis, the focus is more focused and the center is more precise. So all the instruments, all the imaging is much more precise compared when you have tweeters firing at each other. And this is consistent with my experience with some other systems that I have tuned. The most famous one probably was John's Nissan Qashqai when he had Hertz Mini Legends or the Synthesis. I don't remember which ones, but he has some super expensive speakers. They were mounted flush on the A-pillar, aimed towards the side. And in that car, I kind of specifically said that the sound is bouncing all over the place and you cannot have a proper normal center image. And I had something similar with these when they were aimed there, where the center was like a big ball, and no matter the time alignment, no matter the EQ, you cannot like squeeze it in, and it was just all over the place. And it kind of makes sense because when a tweeter is firing sideways, the higher frequencies, they don't get attenuated because they're just bouncing all over and they're coming to you. Whereas when you have the tweeter aimed on axis to you, you have all the content coming directly to you, and all the stuff that's going off axis is going to be much lower in frequency because obviously dispersion depends on the frequency. So the most higher frequencies, like above 15K or something, it's like a direct laser beam that's going to you, and the lower frequencies are kind of get scattered a little bit. But the only reflection that you have in this location is mainly from this glass, because this is kind of absorbed and nothing bounces back really from that glass, which is the biggest reflective surface in a car. Same goes for that tweeter. So at the moment, when it is like that, I have all the frequencies coming towards me and basically not much bouncing back. Whereas when you have the tweeter aimed towards this side, you have stuff bouncing from the windshield and coming towards you. So my advice would be, in a two-way system or even in any system, please have your tweeters on axis. Whoever says that you can have good imaging, good SQ aimed tweeters off axis, aimed directly to each other, obviously haven't tried on axis. The only exception I can say is if you would have a tweeter in the door. So in another car that I did, which was Volkswagen Tiguan, which had the factory location of the tweeter somewhere here and was aimed sideways, it wasn't on axis. However, when you have a tweeter even aimed sideways but it's much lower, you don't have the windshield that's reflecting everything. That's why in that system the imaging was very good, just because there was no reflection scattering everything. Yes, you have stuff happening here because of the steering wheel and everything, but on that side especially as well, you have maybe some bounce back from the dash, but nothing like you have the windshield over there. So that's the first thing. The imaging is great. The biggest complaint is obviously the doors. Obviously it's going to be the doors because of two reasons. One, if you crank it up, the doors rattle. The door panel emanates sound no matter how much deadening you're going to do, because it's still a plastic panel, whereas in the kicks you have a solid mounting to the metal. And if you watch the previous video where I did the RTA for this, I did show that there's a massive hole about 150 hertz in the listening position where I am from the driver's side mid bass, and I said that that hole is going to be audible and it's not going to sound very nice. And this is exactly what happened, because to be honest, I haven't listened to doors in two-way for quite a long time. I was used to my kicks over there. So yeah, I don't like it. I don't like the doors. I don't like the two-way. I would prefer to do the three-way. So at the moment, it is raining. I cannot show you. I put another amplifier in the back, a V12 for these speakers, for these and those 4 channels, because I do have spare channels on the Easy DSP. So I will be tuning, I will simultaneously have a two-way, a three-way, and I can potentially play all of these speakers at once, and I can tell you how good or bad if you would have, like, for example, 2 tweeters playing exactly the same range, what happens to the image. But I can say you straight away, I did try it somewhat, and it scatters the image. It gets bigger. It's not as pinpoint, but it gets a bit bigger. So we're gonna experiment with that a little bit more. At the same time, I thought I'm gonna give you a little update on, like, the system itself, so the head unit and the amplifier. The hiss that I complained in the very beginning, or when I just installed it, as I speculated, I got used to that. It is still there, but it's like, I don't know, if you live, or somebody else you know that lives like close to a train station or an airport or whatever, even loud sounds, you're getting used to that and your brain kind of rejects it. If you have some kind of humming noise at home, after a while, you start not noticing it. And this is exactly what happened. Like now, I get into the car, I turn it on, and I don't even notice the hiss, just because my brain got used to that. So at the moment, it's not a deal breaker at all. Probably if somebody else sits in my car, probably they would notice. But now, I just got used to it. It's totally fine. The sibilance and the kind of harshness kind of went away with the tuning, because I did some tuning on this and it doesn't sound the same, because again, one EQ band can remove literally everything. So obviously this amplifier needed a little bit different EQ compared to the Alpine V12s because of the top end extension. So now it sounds just good. It sounds good. It doesn't sound particularly great. It doesn't sound like my Alpine V12s. Obviously, it could be in my brain, but it sounds good. I got used to it. It sounds nice. Another update that I want to give about this head unit. So when I did the update after a week, I did say that it kind of stutters. I couldn't find the multitask, the 2-window thing. So now somebody gave me an advice. If you go here and then you click on this, you can do split screen. And then you can have, I have only one app open, you can have 2 screens, which is great. And the stuttering of the head unit when it kind of freezes for a bit is gone. I don't know, I'm not sure, I don't remember if I played with any settings with like power consumption or the CPU or whatever, but now it never happens. Everything is fine. It doesn't stutter at all. I don't remember when was the last time it stuttered. So now it works perfectly with no issues whatsoever. The biggest thing while using this Easy DSP is the controller. I miss my controller so much. So the volume on this head unit is adjusted by either by using a 2-finger swipe up or down, and then you can adjust it as well, or you click here and then you can just do whatever. So I don't like it. It's much easier when I'm driving. I have my hand here all the time, so it's much easier for me just to go up and down. And yeah, another thing is presets. I cannot change presets without a laptop or something connected to the DSP, so that's a bummer. Like now I have a 2-way, I can set up a 3-way. I cannot switch between them. I do have some problems connecting my phone to the DSPs, so we'll see how it's gonna be sorted. But yeah, it's not really convenient, just mainly because of the volume and stuff. I really like this controller. Now I'm kind of waiting until I'm gonna put the Helix back. But yeah, this is a quick update just to prove you, like, subjectively, that what we measured is kind of obvious. So as I mentioned, the main thing is this one. Like, to be honest, the mid-range is not that noticeable. When you EQ it to like a flat curve, it kind of sounds nice. There's no missing mid-range or anything, but the bass, especially the kick bass, the upper higher bass, is just, no, the doors is not the same as kicks. It's totally different thing. Like when you have something in a solid mounting, so this one plays up to 80 and then the doors take over. So even the doors, if they play from 80 all the way up, there's a huge difference between the doors and the kicks, not only in like frequency response, but in like actually how the bass feels, because I had these same Illusion Audio SC6s in the kicks as well, and they were much solid. The mid bass was much more impactful than in the doors. As I mentioned, I haven't tried a two-way. I haven't tried the doors in quite a while, so now when I got back to them, because I had these for almost a week and listened to them daily, I can 100% say that I do not like how the mid bass sounds in the doors. The kicks, even like any kind of driver in the kicks in a solid mounting, is going to sound much nicer than in a flimsy sheet metal door. So this is pretty much it for this quick little update. The next video is going to be a three-way, so we're going to add a mid-range, because these tweeters will measure very, very similar. So I'm just going to add a measurement for the mid-range, and I'm going to add a measurement for the kick mid-bass, and then we're going to see what is the difference between the kick mid-bass and the door mid-bass. Yes, the drivers are slightly different. Maybe, actually, I might find the actual measurements of the same driver, the Illusion Audio SC6s, because I should have the file somewhere when they were in the kicks, so we can directly compare kicks versus doors, like here and here, with exactly the same driver. And yeah, stay tuned. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one.